Ebullient greetings. I'm your host, Jacquie Bird of Jacquie Bird Spiritual Wellness, your guide to stress and anxiety relief, mindfulness, awareness, self-care, self-love, and personal growth. Welcome and thank you for joining me as we roll with peace in mind. Today's riff is Lessons in Disguise, Finding Growth Through Challenges. Often, when we feel broken to the core, it's hard to realize that some of our most potential for growth is from the lessons in disguise. Finding growth through challenges is sometimes too much to ask for, but that is exactly what life is demanding of you. Seeing and learning the lessons in our trials and tribulations is where real personal growth takes place. Stop for a moment and think about your own life. Can you recall any time that you didn't know or see a way out of a situation, but you did get through it eventually? A serious challenge that was quite painful to endure. What lessons have you learned or taken away from it? If you are still carrying anger around it, see if you can begin to release the anger to fully heal. And ask yourself, why are you still angry? There is a wealth of information in the answers you may uncover asking that question. Then, after going deeply into the why, ask yourself, does it serve any purpose or solve anything in carrying the anger? I have found that when I truly stepped away from what happened and how pissed I was at the person or situation, I was able to look at things from a clearer vantage point. At one time, there was a person that I carried a lot of rage for. Well, actually, there were others. But this person, in particular, was a partner at the time. Now, don't get me wrong. He did do some incredibly... His actions ultimately jeopardized my safety, my finances, and our property, which we lost in the long run anyway. I held on to that rage for a long time, but one day I got tired of being mad. I was weary of carrying that luggage and finally realizing it did nothing for me. When that happened, a part of my life transformed. When I could take accountability for my actions, see that there were other choices I had that I disregarded due to some fears, some mindset, I was ultimately able to forgive him and myself. A cloud had truly lifted. And the blame game, which we play when things are always somebody else's fault, you can find yourself in a perpetual loop of the same situation coming back at you faster and faster sometimes. You have choices. You can always be a victim or recognize that life is always showing you something and giving you ample opportunities for personal growth. You can break the perpetual loop, setting yourself free and hence leveling up your understanding and spiritual frequency. It's called Getting to Know You. And I don't mean a song, but yourself. The more you get to know yourself, the more discerning you become when it comes to decision making in relationships, finances, career choices, etc. Now, some of those situations may come up again, and it's almost like a test. If you can see it and say, instead of, oh man, not again, life, I see what's going on. Not gonna fall for that one again. Learn my lesson and don't want or need to repeat it. You make different choices. When you can say that and step off, you know you've arrived to another level. Using those lessons in disguise and finding growth through challenges can teach you to listen to and heed your intuition a whole lot better. When those red flags are thrown, and they always are, learning from challenges can help you not fall into emotional and impulsive actions. It gives you an opportunity and some breathing room to make the best decisions going forward with what you know in those moments. An example, I know You always say yes when you mean no. But for whatever the reasons are that this is your pattern, it's due to listening and believing either what somebody said you should do or what you told yourself that's what you should do. Because that's what's expected of you. Oh, you notice? The word should is in both examples? Yeah. Okay, personal story. Ugh. Many challenges and lessons learned. At least I hope so. The lessons learned. So, okay, before I get into this, I'll jump to the chase. The lessons I learned from this event and continue to remember whenever I forget is that I have the strength, tenacity, fortitude, and resilience to get through anything. I learned this very young as I was tested at the age of 9 when the world that I knew was shattered with the death of my mother. That began the period of hell. It was the start of one of the most awful and intense periods in my life that continued for what seemed like forever until I could free myself from the grip of my dad and my stepmother. To some extent, that's another story. Anywho, the 4th grade. First crush, maybe the 3rd one. A boy named Melvin Wiles. Good God, I still remember his name. Melvin was an older boy who I was wildly in love with. He was in the 5th grade. I'm 10, he's 11. One day I had to go to the main branch of the Brooklyn Public Library to do some research, and he offered to walk me there. Oh, I was on the moon, and then I landed on it. Okay, but I know you're going to bird. What exactly happened? Okay. We set off, and I was floating in air. All the trauma of the year before and current were absent as I blissfully walked and joyfully was next to my paramour. He was the perfect gentleman, and whatever doubts I had initially as to why in the heck this 5th grader would want to walk me, of all people, anywhere was beyond me. I was far from being one of the popular girls. Old clothes, run-down shoes. I was not the fashion horse and definitely not trendy. But choose me, he did. School was in the prime Prospect Heights area, right near the Botanical Gardens, Prospect Park, the Brooklyn Museum, and the library. Oh man, what a playground that was. The scene. It's in the middle of winter with tons of snow on the ice, and tons of snow and ice on the ground. The front of the museum in those days was very, very different. There's this driveway that went up this hill, and it was quite treacherous. And, we navigated that like pros. We were just about to hit the summit. And then, bam! Down I went, sliding all the way back down that hill. That was bad enough that I fell and slid down an entire hill head first in front of an 11-year-old boy I wanted to impress. But as I finally reached the bottom, I was hit, bam, first by my red and black plaid lunchbox. Bonk. I thought that was it, but I didn't realize my lunchbox had opened until I was hit by the matching glass thermos that rolled down after. I can see it. I can see it right now. I can see it. And my love stood at the top of the hill, screeching in laughter. The screams that only an 11-year-old boy can do. It was loud enough to be heard in the Bronx. I mean, this boy screeched. Oh. And you may ask, Bird, weren't you mortified? I had some choices. To lie there and cry, get up running away and crying, or doing just what I did. I got up, gathered my things, put my thermos back in the lunchbox after shaking it to see if the glass had broken, and then walk back up that hill, past the screeching boy, and on my way. Sidebar. Now, honestly, I could have gathered my things and walked away on the sidewalk, going past the park to the library, but I always loved walking up that hill. That's how you got to the part that was in between. And I always felt like I was in a lofty position looking down upon the world at the plebeians on the street. There never anybody there. But anyway, surprisingly, he followed me and continued to walk me to the library because he knew I wasn't paying him no mind. My fortitude in that situation at such a young age, already carrying a heavy burden, was a testament to what I was made of and has served me in all the days since. Facing that challenge head on, not pausing for pity or shame, served as a valuable lesson for me from something that could have been pretty mortifying. Well, actually it was, but I didn't let that stop me. That disaster taught me to keep it moving, the hell with what anyone, including an 11-year-old screeching boy, thinks. You have to claim your power. Learning the lessons help you claim your power. As I suggested above, go through your life. What situations have you experienced that you are still harboring anger, regret, guilt, or shame? Start with one of those and ask yourself, why am I still upset over this? Is my holding anything other than seeing the lessons and growing from it doing anything for me? Changing anything, or maybe hindering me? When you get to a place where you can see that holding any ill will toward what happened only keeps you in that loop of replaying the experience constantly and feeling as if it is currently happening, and it does you absolutely no good, begin to release your hold on it. Understand that beginning to let it go, it being your need to replay it, it only sets you free. It doesn't let anyone off the hook, but you. Bless it, release it, and claim your power in seeing that perhaps there's something you can learn from it. When you can see that you actually overcame the challenge and recognize the lessons, you have stepped into your power.